right, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the CC News Media On Point with the political updates. And tonight we want to talk about how the political system works, how you get things done politically in Illinois. So we have a number of issues that have been brought to our attention. And the only way we're going to be able to resolve some of these issues is to follow the political process. I wanted to show you all something, so bear with me. Let me bring this up on the screen and have you guys watch this. I thought this was very interesting. Then I'm gonna let Grady talk because he brought it to my attention. If you want to change something, you got to change it using the political process. Here we go.
Where's the volume?
The bottom?
The volume.
Oh, the volume, okay.
Does it talk?
Yeah, it is talking. You can't hear it?
Nope.
Hold on. I'll start it. Can you hear it now?
Nope.
Hear it now?
Nope.
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Okay, so I don't know why you guys can't hear it. Okay. Why you can't hear that? I don't know. Okay, so Anthony, I would like for you to go to YouTube and see if you can pull up how how an issue becomes a bill. Since I tried to pull it up, but you guys said you can't hear it, and I'm not exactly sure why. Because I heard, wait a minute, share sound. Oh, I didn't have share sound on there. Hold on. Maybe that's why. Now let's try it again. Of course, I'm editing this, so.
So you may be wondering, how does a bill become law?
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's not as easy as you'd expect. So before we get into specifics, it's important to understand the basics. First, a bill originates from an idea. Then it's proposed, and then the bill is introduced to the House of Representatives, or House for short. Then the bill is reviewed. Then the bill is debated on the floor, where if it passes, will be sent to the Senate. Then the Senate proceeds with further review of the bill. Afterwards, the bill is debated over again. If the bill passes the Senate, both the Senate and the House work together to find a common ground between both versions of their bill. Once a new version of the bill has been agreed upon, it is sent back to the President. Now the President can pass the bill or veto it, where the bill is sent back to Congress for further review. With that said, a veto can be overridden, but it very seldom is. Did you catch all that? If I counted correctly, there are a total of 10 steps that a bill has to take in order to become a law. So let's go over it again, but in a little more detail. Let's say you wanted to create a bill that will make the current school day shorter so kids can spend more time on extracurricular activities, sports, homework, and resting. It's important to note that a bill can be started by virtually anyone, whether it be a representative or a citizen. However, only members of Congress can formally introduce a bill, and a bill can be introduced at any point in time while the House is in session. Now, there are 4 kinds of legislation Congress can receive and debate over. Joint resolutions, where both the House and the Senate need to be in agreement. Concurrent resolutions, where a resolution does not require the signature of the chief executive. Simple resolutions, where a piece of legislature has only been approved by one House and doesn't need to be presented to the President. And a standard bill, which would apply to our current scenario. Before any introduction is made, a bill's type must be determined. There are 2 types of bills. There are private bills, where the bill will only affect a specific person or organization, and public bills. Public bills affect the general population. In our case, our bill will be classified as a public bill. After the bill has been developed and text has been written, a member has to officially introduce the bill in Congress. The same member will also become the bill's sponsor. There are multiple sponsors for the same bill, which in that case, those individuals will be called co-sponsors. Bills are formally introduced in the House of Representatives by placing them in a special box known as the hopper. The hopper is located by the Speaker of the House's platform. If the same bill manages to be sent to the Senate, a bill is introduced by introducing it to the Senate floor.
Well,
In the
now
House
you
of
gonna start the
Representatives, a
recording?
special individual known as a bill clerk assigns a bill its own unique
While you
number.
putting this together.
House bills start with HR, while resolutions begin with HRes, HConres, or HJres, depending on what type of resolution they are. Senate bills begin with S. Our bill will be denoted with an HR since it isn't a resolution. After the first reading of the bill, it is sent to a committee for revisions. In the House, there are 19 committees. In the Senate, there are 16 committees. Bills are sent to the appropriate committee since each committee specializes in different areas of public
I don't see
policy,
anything.
whether it be education, the workforce, or international relations.
I'm sorry, Jill, what did you say?
I don't see anything.
You don't see anything?
Mm-mm.
Does anybody see anything? Hello?
I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
think so.
I see it.
You do?
You don't see this graphic up here, Jill?
Nothing. I thought you were fixing something. That's why I interrupted.
Oh, no, it was plain. So then I'm not sure what happened. I guess I'll stop now. I didn't know you couldn't see it. But you all saw the majority of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought it was appropriate to play that video because as Grady said, if you want to change something, you have to do it legislatively. And so he was going to walk us through that process. So Grady, I'll render the floor to you now.
Well, of course, that was a federal piece.
Okay.
Because you talk about HR. Anytime you hear HR, that's the House that's a House resolution out of Washington, D.C. At the Springfield level, it's called HB. But anytime you see HB, you already know it's to that particular. Let's say I'm gonna use Illinois because I know more. So when you see a HB or SB, that's automatically Illinois legislation. So I try to tell people there's only 3 ways of getting things done in America now. Unless somebody tell me different, I'm willing, I'm all ears. But you got 3 branches of government. It's constitutional, I tell people. If you want to get a law changed or you want to get something changed, you got to go through the legislative process. Either you go through the executive branch, the legislative branch, or the judicial, the courts. So when you look at Illinois, I'm gonna do this right quick. There's 59 state senators in Springfield, and it's 118 state representatives. You only need 30 votes to get anything out the Illinois Senate, and you need 60 votes to get anything out the House. So when I looked at the last numbers, the Democrats had 73 members in the House and 41 members in the Senate. They can get any legislation passed that they want to. And then we have a Democratic governor, and by the Black community being so loyal to the Democratic Party, we should not have, it's just me personally, it's only my opinion, we shouldn't have any problems getting any legislation done in the state of Illinois.
So why do we have a problem?
The reason we have a problem is because the 12%, which consists of the elected officials, your retirees, and all this, and your government workers, they don't want no change. And because they don't want no change, we're stuck with the status quo. And it takes us back to the convention of 1970, where the delegates decided that they didn't want to fix nothing at the convention. So they said, put it in the hand of the legislators. And we're talking about the future legislators. So in 1970, after the convention was over, the legislators stuck to the status quo. And from then, 53 years later, we're still stuck in the quagmire that we're in.
Great.
Now,
Wait.
Go ahead.
We gotta allow others to come in and tell us. Okay, so we know that. So now we know that they did all this back then, and
Now,
that it's still holding us in position right now.
yeah, they still hold us hostage. Yes.
Grady.
The newspapers, Crane Business Magazine, all of the various newspapers have wrote the article saying the same thing. They don't have the political will to fix nothing. Therefore, they said you need a grassroots movement to bring about these changes.
But there's
and that's where we're stuck.
There's still a political process that has to be followed. Is that not correct, Grady? What do we have to
Well,
do? Do
he just
petitions?
mentioned, I think he's going in the right direction when he said a groundswell. So
Okay,
the people, that's just me, again, these just my opinions. The people that's in power, I mean, they benefit from it. So why would it be?
why would
Absolutely.
they change it? Why would they change it?
Absolutely.
So we have to go to the street, like you said, and we got to get we got to put on the ballot as a referendum. That means we got to go and put some signatures on the petition and get the referendum on the ballot. I mean, that's the only thing I know, because they're not going to change it. It's not, if you think, like somebody said to me, they need to reduce the size of the city council. I said, that's not going to happen, not unless it come from outside forces.
You know what? If I can jump in for a second, this is Reverend Jill. When Mr. Travers had said about the three branches, the legislative, executive, and judicial, that's just, and speaking not just of Illinois, because I'm in Texas, and if there's others who are listening and not in Illinois, the legislative, executive, and judicial system is all over the United States. Even some other countries have adopted this because they received this out of United States. And this came through the US Constitution that outlines the system of government for the United States. And when you have grassroots, as they said, that means you got the lobbyists out there who's trying to get laws passed. Then they're trying to get approved by the president. Then, of course, you got your senators, they come into play. And then you got your number of congressmen based on your population and based on where you live. Then your executive, once you got the legislative, then you can move it to the executive. And then the executive will sign the laws. And then you go to judicial, where Trump is now, where they're trying to figure out if this is legal or illegal. Now, common sense, a lot of stuff says this don't make sense. It is illegal, at least it should be. But because you've got legislative that playing around with stuff, and it's not important to them because it's not beneficial. And I think one of the gentlemen said that too. And if it's not beneficial, they can twist it any way they want to. And that's why our whole judicial system is in a mess. That's why our prison systems are a mess. That's why our school systems are a mess. And that's why that GOP and the Democrats, all them are a mess, because they're trying to interpret what the laws are between the legislative, executive, and judicial. And I'm sure Illinois, years ago, I lived in Illinois, and I used to go down to Springfield. It was lily white. I don't know if it changed now or not, but all of that was a mess. And you had your lobbyists down there trying to get stuff changed. That's my comment on that.
Well, let me separate the two. Let's keep it at home in Illinois, because what happened to us here in Illinois, and it goes back to the convention, the delegates voted at the convention to put a muzzle on the judiciary. That's why whenever somebody sued the state over school funding, the court, the Supreme Court, or the courts, period, they always side with Springfield and not our children. And that's because the delegates did not want the judiciary to have any role in giving out solutions to help us out. And so we've been stuck with that piece of crap. And then you got to look at the fact that Alderman Edward Burke, the alderman in Chicago, the 14th Ward, as a Democrat, he's been over that committee all my life, appointing judges. You got to go through Burke to get a judgeship. And naturally, those judges are going to be lenient towards who? Towards the Democratic people who put them in office and not us. And that's why we can never get the judiciary to truly rule in our especially the Supreme Court. They ain't never ruled in favor of our children.
Margot, you had a comment?
No, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. So Grady, so what's up with that? I mean, what's your position on that? And then we have Levette in the house, and we have LaShawn in the
Can
house.
I just
Go
want to comment. I just want to comment since he brought up Alderman Burke, who's now under federal something. I don't know what it is because I don't know why he's not. I don't even know why he's still sitting in city council. But as
You're
the
right.
former Democratic committeeman, he was over whatever they call that in terms of slating judges. Okay, so he kind of controlled the slate making process when the guy wanted to get slated by the Democratic Party to be a judge. And his wife also happens to be at
On
my
the Supreme
last.
Court.
I think she still sits on the
Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. So she reclused herself the other day on a case. So I can't remember exactly what it was. But all I'm saying is I don't want nobody to think I'm see, when I start talking facts and the Democratic Party get caught up in it, they'll say I'm a Republican. And I'm like, oh, I have to defend that more. So then I'm saying, well, I'm trying to figure out a way to get us out this mess that we're in.
Grady, brother, you hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah. What say you, Levette?
Oh, I'm like Margot. I'm just listening because a lot of it sounds like rhetoric. It sounds like we're saying the same thing over and over. And what's the sister's name in Texas?
Reverend Dr. Jill Jackson.
Reverend Dr. Jill Jackson. I've been watching a lot of national news, and it puts to shame anything that we're going through locally. When I look at the entire system and realize that America looks so much like other dictatorships.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
And there's a little fright because you have a group of people, particularly white people, that are now flashing Nazi symbols as though we are reversing back into a certain dark ages. And I don't hear enough Black leadership in arms about it. And it's really disappointing because what they do nationally, it does trickle down to us locally. And if these people are making deals that's leaving us out of the equation, then we have a battle. And I've been thinking about a lot of sisters and brothers that marched for the rights of us to have this privilege of voting and access to legislative agendas. Then there's a lot of pieces that are missing to us dealing with ourselves locally, nationally, and globally. Because you got a lot of Black people, when they're leaving Illinois, they're just not going to Indiana. They're going overseas, out of the country. I just met a sister that packed up and went to Mexico.
Oh, yes.
And I'm thinking, are you going to run into any bad people? She says where her and her husband moved, there's it's a Black community, and they have Black vegan restaurants that just opened up, and we're settling in America.
Yes, that's right.
Black
That's
Americans.
true.
And by us settling, it only leaves a very few to do the fighting.
Yes.
And I know it's becoming very taxing on a lot of people, or those few that are still doing what we're doing, discussing the matter and trying to strategize. And what's not happening is that these people that do sit in Springfield and sit on the city council, we help them get there. We help them get that number that matters. And now it's just like the House. It's this 50-50
mean the Senate.
split. And two people are stopping programs from moving forward because they are, they're turncoats. And so, yeah, we have a lot to deal with, because the bottom line is that Black women are on the bottom of the totem pole. And I say that because COVID knocked us back more than anybody. And here the Black woman again is going to be asked to save the Democratic Party.
That's true.
But if we say no, then what do we have to turn to? We don't have enough independent voices coming out of any of these cities. We don't have any viable Black leadership that says, hey, I'm it. I'm the one that's going to weigh on the side of the Black race. Black History Month came and people are protesting against it. So, you know, it's like we are in a position where I said today to my mom, who is more astute in politics than I am, I said, you know what, Ma? I said, in history, God has always shown us the way. And I think I'm just at that point where I know that they said faith without work is dead, right? Or something like that.
That's right.
I'll leave it
That's
to the minister to correct me. But and I just had to give that to the Most High today, because I do believe that, you know, when you try to step on the least of them, then that's when God shows up and shows out. But we're still going to have to put the work out there. So I appreciate the brothers and sisters on this wire that are always, you know, giving their best. So that's all.
All right, LaShawn. I'm sorry. I hadn't heard from her. Hey.
I'm sorry, Grady. This is Margot Richmond. How you doing?
Hey, Margot.
How you doing? I have a question about grassroots organizations. And I believe wholeheartedly, I can't track the numbers to find out how many that we have in each one of these districts. And I believe that maybe one of the key things needs to happen at that level, where at least we can begin to collaborate with those organizations, because many times I've been in the communities, I've been all out in the community when there's people protesting various different things. I'm just trying to understand how, when you walk up or you talk to one of them, how those links can be linked together, because I think that's where the power of our numbers are, because there's a lot of them. When 7 boys got killed on my block, I had 8 different organizations with 8 different colors of T-shirts on that represented whatever they were representing, which were Save Our Children. But yet they were all independent.
All independent.
Independent of what?
Independent of each other. Independent of each other's organization. They're standalones, but yet we're fighting for the same cause.
I wonder why is that?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to interject, because I'm on Wanda and I, we're part of the Garfield Park Advisory Council. And so we have advisory councils on the west side. And what we're attempting to do right now is come together as advisory councils on the west side to unify our voice. And I agree with you, Margot, when you have different entities and they're not on some kind of page together, then it's like diluted energy. And so one of the advisory councils, Tilton Advisory Council, was just about a mile away from us. They reached out to us the other day, because we had our monthly meeting last night, and they reached out to us and said, hey, we're right down the street. And this is independent of the bigger organization, but this organization was like, look, we're 2 small advisory councils. Let us make sure that we're cross-connecting, and that you all come to our meetings and we come to your meetings, and we look at what resources that we have, so that we can look at it together and see how we can deal better with the resources that's coming through our community. Because if we received $1.9 billion from the government for COVID, that money's not been spent. So right now we're looking at various ways to get resources in the community for our children, for our parks, and I think that is a way to build your forces. I just want to say, I was looking before I came on, there was something that came on, this lady just started talking, right? And she said that I wrote it down. She said that she was a part of 1 million Black woman initiative. And that sounds like something that matters when you're like, we need 1 million folks, not just, one group here or one group there. So I said I was going to follow up and find out what they were doing, because this is dealing with entrepreneurship and a lot of other things. And so this is the global perspective, because we're going to need more than just us working on local things that, where we're 50 years later. Because I know Anthony's talking about the, that constitutional convention. And look how many years that put us back for something like that happening. Right. So it's like, I appreciate the strategy sessions and, but we've got to come out with some home runs.
There you go. Welcome to the show, Andrea. How are you doing? Andrea, how you doing? Can't hear you. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I came in late. I had to go to the grocery store before I ran out of eggs and butter.
I got it. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, LaShawn, you were going to give us your input. I'm sorry, you guys. I still have this cough. Forgive me. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to say first, thank you, Wanda and Tax Doctor and all these beautiful experts, subject matter experts that are on this call. I tell you, I learn so much every time I log in. And I thank you for your time and your energy, your advocacy, and keeping us on board and keeping us on track with so many different things. And I was just talking to the tax doctor all the time, and I just be telling him, I said, I was just thinking the other day, I said, we got so many organizations. We got ABC organization, tax doctor organization. We got this organization, that organization, this organization. I done been on 10 Zoom calls in the last 2 days. And so I said, is it possible that all of the organizations, because there's power in numbers, all of the organizations that are saying the same thing and meeting every day, every week, week after week after week, saying the same thing, and we are thinking alike, can we just unify, unite? Can we just put our leadership, our power to the side and just come together, unify? Because I think about it, you got the West Side Ministers Coalition, you got this coalition, you got that coalition, you got this coalition, West Side Coalition, South Side Coalition. And we meet all the time and say the same things. And at the end of the day, when we get off the call, it's, oh, well, we done hung up and wait for another call. So if we come together, unify, unite, and look at everybody's issues, what are our top 5 things we want to get done? What's the top 5 things we need to get done? And let's look at it. What's the first thing? Is it pension? If it's a property tax, is it